Something has changed inside the Gilas Pilipinas camp, and it starts with a familiar 7-foot presence. After a long absence from the national team, Kai Sotto is back with Gilas, and his return could dramatically change the way the Philippines approaches its next major challenge. The timing could hardly be more important, with Jordan and Iran waiting in the fourth window of the FIBA World Cup Qualifiers. For Filipino basketball fans, this isn't simply about adding another big man to the roster. It's about bringing back a player who can alter the team size, rebounding, interior defense, and scoring options almost immediately. Sotto's return also brings back the possibility of seeing the young Gilas Twin Towers combination with AJ Edu, a pairing that once represented the future of Philippine basketball's frontline. But there is another question creating even more anticipation. Could we see Kai Sotto and Jordan Clarkson sharing the floor for Gilas once again? The backcourt has already shown signs of becoming stronger, while local players such as Kevin Quiambao, Tamayo, and JDL have demonstrated that they can step up when the pressure rises. And now, with Sotto back in the picture, Gilas suddenly has another dimension. But before we look at what his return could mean tactically, there's one crucial question. Why did Kai Sotto choose to return to Gilas now, and just how much can he change this team? The answer begins with the situation Gilas Pilipinas finds itself in. The Philippines enters this stage of the World Cup qualifiers with very little room for mistakes. After the first round, Gilas sits fifth in Group E with 8 points and a 2-4 record, while Australia leads the group at 6-0. Iran and Jordan are right behind, both at 5-1, with New Zealand sitting fourth at 4-2. That makes the upcoming games against Jordan on August 28th and Iran on August 30th especially important for the Philippines. And this is where Kai Sotto's return becomes more than just a headline. Gilas has already shown that it can compete against strong opposition. The near win against New Zealand was a clear reminder that the local players can create problems when they play with confidence and discipline. Quiambao, Tamayo, and JDL all showed flashes of the offensive and defensive energy the team needs. But basketball is also about having the right pieces in the right places. Sotto gives Tim Cone another option in the frontcourt, one who can provide size around the basket while potentially opening different possibilities for the rest of the lineup. His presence could also give Gilas more flexibility when dealing with bigger opponents like Jordan and Iran. And then there is the chemistry question. Sotto's last Gilas appearance came in November 2024 during the FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers, where he averaged 15.5 points, 12.5 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.3 blocks across 4 games. Those numbers underline just how much impact he can have when fully involved. But statistics alone don't tell the whole story. Sotto has spent a significant period away from the national team after suffering an ACL injury while playing in Japan in January 2025. Even after recovering, his focus had been on pursuing another opportunity to return to the NBA. Now, he's back with Gilas, and that creates an entirely different question for Tim Cone. How quickly can Sotto fit into the system? Because having a 7-footer is one thing. Making that 7-footer work seamlessly with the rest of the team is something else entirely. And that's where the real challenge begins. For Tim Cone, the biggest opportunity may not simply be putting Kai Sotto on the floor. It is figuring out how Sotto can make everyone around him more effective. Gilas has shown that its strength cannot depend on one player. The near upset against New Zealand demonstrated that local players can carry responsibility, create opportunities, and compete against a physically demanding opponent. But adding Sotto changes the equation because opponents now have another major interior threat to account for. Defensively, his size can give Gilas a different presence around the basket. Rebounding becomes another area where his impact could be significant, particularly against teams that rely heavily on physical play and second-chance opportunities. Offensively, Sotto can provide another target inside. That could create more space for perimeter players and allow Gilas to attack defenses from different areas of the court. And then there is the possibility of the Twin Towers. Kai Sotto and AJ Edu represent a combination that Filipino fans have been waiting to see develop. Both bring size and defensive potential, but the real value would come from how their skills complement each other within Cone's system. Of course, that combination cannot simply be forced onto the court because it sounds exciting. The coaching staff will have to determine whether the spacing, movement, defensive rotations, and overall chemistry work in actual game situations. The same applies to the possibility of Sotto playing alongside Jordan Clarkson. If Clarkson is part of the lineup, Gilas could potentially have a very different offensive structure with a high-level perimeter creator operating alongside a legitimate interior presence. But again, chemistry is everything. Sotto has also made it clear through his public indications that he is ready to represent the Philippines again, and his presence at the team's early training sessions gives the comeback a tangible sense of momentum. Still, expectations need to remain realistic. Sotto is returning after a long period away from international competition, and being medically ready is not automatically the same as being completely game-ready. His rhythm, conditioning, timing, and chemistry with teammates will all matter. That's why the next few practices could be just as important as the games themselves. Because Gilas doesn't merely need Kai Sotto back. It needs Kai Sotto to become part of a stronger, more connected team. And if that happens, the Philippines may finally have the frontline boost it has been waiting for. That is ultimately what makes Kai Sotto's return so important. Gilas Pilipinas does not need one player to solve every problem. It needs a complete team, better chemistry, stronger defense, consistent rebounding, smarter decision-making, and contributions from every position. Sotto can help provide one missing piece. His size gives Gilas another weapon against physical opponents. His return also creates new possibilities for the frontline, including the potential Twin Towers combination with AJ Edu. And if the rest of the roster continues building confidence, the Philippines could enter the next games looking much more complete than before. But the margin for error remains extremely small. Jordan and Iran are both among the strongest teams in the group, and Gilas cannot afford to rely on potential alone. The team will have to turn its renewed confidence into disciplined basketball once the games begin. For Filipino basketball fans, though, there is already plenty of reason for optimism. Kai Sotto is back. The local players have shown they can step up. The backcourt continues to develop, and the entire Gilas camp appears to have another level of energy surrounding it. Now comes the real test. Can Sotto quickly find his rhythm? Can the Twin Towers combination work? And can Gilas turn this renewed confidence into the victories it desperately needs? Those answers will come on the court. But one thing is already clear. With Kai Sotto back in the national team picture, Gilas Pilipinas has another reason to believe.